I really want to thank the Chamber of Commerce for this honor and this award. It's humbling in the context of the other honorees this evening, and certainly in the context of the hard work that so many people in this county do on a daily basis and annually. And I want to thank the Chamber for doing pre-recorded messages, not because I'll do well, but because it makes me feel really important, like I'm unable to get to the awards show. I've got somewhere else so much more important to be, like Johnny Depp phoning it into the Oscars, but we all know that's not the case, and I'm in the dining room watching this, cringing, and hopefully I remembered to wear something different than I'm wearing right now. But anyway, the only appropriate way for me to accept this honor, which again is really humbling, is on behalf of the team that I'm a part of. And so with this 3 minutes or whatever I've got, I think that the best thing I can do is give everyone a window into what I see from where I sit and what's led to the success of our organization. We've accomplished a lot in the last year. From August 1 to August 1, 2014 to 2015 alone, we presented Jay Leno and Jerry Seinfeld in Jamestown, New York. We created millions in economic impact for the county by bringing visitors from 40 states and 5 countries. We set a new Guinness World Record, many of you who are watching this right now were probably a part of, with cold feet and grapes. We secured investment in this region, not just from our local wonderful funders, but from sources outside of the region, including New York State as a new partner. We forged new partnerships with SiriusXM and Hologram USA, NBC Universal, and major players in the industry. And then August 1st of 2015 broke ground on a new national attraction right here in Chautauqua County, the National Comedy Center. But my point is, nothing that big and nothing that unique happens without a big team behind the scenes. And what's special about this team is that all of those highlights just in the past year to this team feel internally just like blips on the radar screen, because the hardworking individuals involved on the board and on the staff and with our partners just hit the ground running the very next day when these things happen, moving forward and moving ahead, because it's all about what's left to do and the daunting tasks ahead of us. So I want to thank the Chamber for this recognition, because it's important for everyone involved to stop and take a breath and reflect a little bit. And so I really appreciate the Chamber of Commerce going to this trouble to recognize this team. So let's talk about what the team is. The board of directors certainly precedes me for the most part, and as a lot of people know, this concept of a national attraction in Jamestown precedes me by all means. And so from Mike Latone and Lou Deppis, who have been on the board longer than anyone and provided a real thread of continuity, to Bill Stevenson and Cindy Aronson and Holly Sullivan and Mike Calamari, who really jumped right in to the style of rolling up their sleeves and getting it done and working like staff or like it's their own company they own. This group is the hardest working board of directors I've witnessed, and some of the hardest working and most dedicated individuals I've had a privilege of getting to know in my few years on this planet. But I also have to say that we wouldn't be where we are without the leadership of that board. Our president, George Panabianco, I don't have enough time to describe his efforts in a way that's commensurate with his impact. And so I'm also really happy to see that he's being honored tonight with the Community Service Award, because from where I sit, it's so well deserved, and I only know a fraction of what the man does. And at any given time, any one of those individuals it's been their input. I can think of examples for every one of our board members where their input solved a problem, created a new opportunity, plowed through some obstacle in front of us. And so it really feels like a dream team in many ways that has been through a lot together. So that's the board. But as many of you know, we're also really extremely fortunate to have as a leader and chairman on this project, Tom Benson. And I struggled to think about how to describe this concisely, other than to say we would not be anywhere close to where we are today without his efforts. And the anecdote I came up with to describe this concisely is that recently we met with a couple of major funders from a foundation in Buffalo. And when we left the meeting, I left with them, and they were thrilled with our progress. And one said to the other, "Man, I could think of a project in Buffalo that could really use a Tom Benson on it." And the other just looked at him and said, "One, how about 10 I can think of that could use a Tom Benson?" And so I tell you all that because I think we in Jamestown, we on the project know how fortunate we are to have Tom involved. Jamestown should feel fortunate as a city, and we as members of Chautauqua County need to appreciate that we have someone like that in this community to drive something this big forward. So not many of you know our staff. They're often just working so hard behind the scenes, but I will say that the folks who round out this dream team in Jamestown are some of the most incredible and talented individuals I've ever worked with. From being a decade outside of this area, many years in New York City, working for national organizations, this is a team that I just can't say enough about. It's led by Malachi Livermore, our programming and venue manager, and all I'll say here is that he's the most productive individual I've ever worked with. We've got Steve Nealons, our communications coordinator, one of the most creative and funny and consistent people I know. Dallas Thurn is just the problem solver that any organization or company wishes that they had internally in-house. We've now got Rochelle Mollet, who is our controller, who keeps us all organized and all of these big numbers where they're supposed to be as this thing moves at light speed forward. And we're fortunate to have Allison Rabent, who is Jamestown born and raised and returned to us to work on this project from the Smithsonian in DC. We recently also hired Nate DeTanto, who came out of our internship program, and I feel like there's a magic about the team that's forming here. And I guess I want to really take a moment, because I feel strongly about it, to bring everyone's awareness to the real troops on the ground, doing what is arguably the most important piece of this effort on a daily basis, welcoming visitors through our doors 7 days a week, year-round, in Chautauqua County. We have Teresa Morris, Sarah Kays, and Cindy Thompson. And for what that means, during our peak season, they are welcoming nearly 1,000 people through our doors. And so in the context of all the work we do in this room for Chautauqua County, that's something that's so significant, that they're touching that many people who are visitors through the doors of our county daily, year-round. And I couldn't be more fortunate to have them as staff. So I guess nothing, from where I sit, nothing this grand, whether you're talking about the successes we've had with the festival and the partnerships we've formed and the progress we've made, or what lies ahead of us, nothing like this happens without a lot of individuals foregoing individual agendas and moving together in the same direction. And nothing this absolutely unique and ambitious as the National Comedy Center project in particular happens without a lot of champions. And so we really, on behalf of the organization, wanted to thank Vince Horrigan, who's been a real champion of this, Andrew Nixon at the County Visitors Bureau, Greg Edwards from when he attended our very first press conference back in 2011 when we had nothing to show yet about this vision, but really needed people to pay attention to the plan, to now in his role steering the ship at Gebby. Also, Andrea Magnuson is a real leader behind the scenes of the Jamestown community, the arts and cultural sector, and at Gebby, and has been a huge help on this project. Greg Lindquist and the team at Jamestown Renaissance Corp., Lee Harkness, certainly the city of Jamestown and the leadership of Mayor Teresi, and also Todd Tranum here at the Chamber, through his networks and channels, dealing with the businesses of this region and conveying the potential of this project and of our work and of the impact we've seen already, and writing about it through his column. All of this has played a part. everyone in this room sitting here has been a part of this, and my favorite quote is really, what you give is what you get. And so that applies to all of us. What we give and how much we engage with this effort or any effort in this community is what's going to make this community a great place to live. And so everyone has a role here. I think that for all of these reasons, that's the only way I can accept this honor, again, is on behalf of such a large team. And I'm sure I'm leaving people out, but nothing big happens without all of us pulling together, collaborating, sticking together through tough times, and working hard. And all I can say about it is that for me, it's been an absolute privilege. So if this were the Academy Awards, they'd be playing the music right now and trying to get me off the podium and go to commercial. So I'll wind it down by doing my job and telling everyone in this room that if this is Thursday, you need to get your tickets, if you haven't already, to the Saturday night Joy Behar performance as we continue to bring comedy to Jamestown. So thank you all very much, and thanks to the Chamber.